Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, we're just going to do a reaction to the TWID. This is a little bit late, let's go up a day after it's been posted, but there were a couple of people who requested me to just go over this and give my reaction thoughts to the TWID here. So we're going to start here. Again, we got a sandbox update preview, which is going to be really nice. So on May 6th, next Tuesday, we're going to have a bunch of changes that are going to hopefully make PvP a little bit more bearable, but we'll see. Alright, so Crucible only. Prismatic Supers to start. Reduced Prismatic specific super cooldown penalty from 10 to 5%. I feel like that's kind of basically a non-change, nothing change. I mean, of course it is still a buff, but I think this is more of a buff to the passive regen. I mean, I feel like when you're on Prismatic anyway, you have to be playing really well, doing lots of damage to your super anyway. Most of the time when I play Prismatic these days, it'd be like a Prismatic Hunter, and they already have like the fastest charging super, Silence and Squall. So I feel like this isn't like a super huge deal, but I mean, a buff is a buff. I guess if you like playing Prismatic, there it is for you to get your super a little bit faster. Scatter Grenade. One of my favorite grenades, definitely probably the most dominant grenade these days. Probably over like the past year and a half has probably been the most popular grenade, especially on Void, just because it's so easy to use, right? Someone's sitting behind a corner, you get them weak, just chuck the scatter grenade right at them and then they just blow up. Very, very simple grenade, just does a lot of damage. So looks like they had noticed it's an outlier for PvP, so they're going to reduce the grenade damage to players by 15%. Now this seems like a pretty big nerf, and it is like definitely a sizable nerf, but considering the best way to use this grenade is kind of as a cleanup tool, I feel like it's still going to be a solid grenade, especially even after the nerf. Again, a lot of time you're kind of just cleaning up people who are weak, so it's still going to do a good amount of damage, even if it is nerfed by 15%. And again, if you're using something like Sentinel Titan, which has Controlled Demolition, Scatter Grenade is still going to be a powerful grenade, but maybe this will help open up other options, other grenade choices that, could be strong as well. Like, I always like using the Spike Grenade. Before people kind of found out that scatter grenades are really good, so maybe I'll just go back to my spike grenade, but we'll see. I think scatter grenades are still going to be pretty good, long story short. So, on the Prowl, nice. On the Prowl is too strong in PP, and the utility needs some more limitations to force more deliberate usage. Agreed. So, reducing the prey finding range from 45 meters to 20. That's insane that it was 45 meters, by the way. That's just absolutely ridiculous. To 25 meters. So again, you have to be a little bit closer, but 25 meters is not like obscenely far away. It's still you have to be a little bit close to people, but I don't know. That's not like a crazy distance. Reduce PvP hunt time from infinite to 15 seconds. That is insane that it lasted indefinitely until like you killed them falling on smoke bomb. That's definitely going to be a little bit more tolerable, but I think it's still going to be solid, especially since it does give an extra fragment slot on those Void Hunters. So again, this is going to be heavily nerfed, but I think it is still going to be the predominant choice for Invis Hunters, just because it guys give you the additional fragment slot. So definitely a nice nerf, but we'll have to see in game what it's like after these changes. Lightning Surge. Lightning Surge can feel frustrating to both play with and against. I feel like whenever I use Lightning Surge, it always just kills people. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is just I don't use it enough to have enough experience, but it definitely can be frustrating to play against. Feels like the damage against players can be highly variable. That is kind of true. I feel like, especially if they're like near a wall, like more of like the bolts can hit people. So looks like plant the variability of Lightning Surge damage against players, slightly increase the minimum damage dealt and reduce the maximum damage dealt. I feel like that's probably a net overall buff, honestly. I feel making the Lightning Surge a little bit more consistent. Again, it won't like maybe cheese and fully one-shot you, but it is still going to do a larger chunk of damage more often. So it's probably a Lightning Surge buff. But I mean, we'll have to see again. We'll have to wait and see how this actually plays out in game, but we'll see. So Withering Blade is getting buffed, which is the Stasis Shuriken melee. So underperforming PvP and needed a PvE consistency bump. I remember back when these first came out, man, they were so devastating. They do like 120 damage The tracking was insane, and then it only took 2 of them to freeze you, so they were nuts. So better tracking, so I guess a more consistent slow, and then increased damage by 10%. So what did I go from like 60 to be 66 damage? So I mean, like, it'll be a little bit better, but I don't think people are really going to be using the Stasis Shurikens, even with this little buff here. But it's definitely like a nice little buff if you liked using the Stasis Shurikens already. Throwing knives. So it looks like they're buffing throwing knives. They're buffing the tracking and saying that it's inconsistent. On top of that, we have further improved the tracking of lightweight knife and fan knives. Oh my goodness. Guys, I'm going to keep it a buck here. I think these are definitely going under the radar right now just because Invis is the most powerful like hunter class, but lightweight knife already is such an amazing throwing knife. You get 2 charges, you get a headshot, it makes you radiant, and if you get a kill, it refunds. And they also do a huge chunk of damage. These are insane cleanup tools. They do like over 100 damage to the body, 150 damage to the head. These things absolutely chunk and are really, really nice cleanup tools. Fan knives as well. I always loved using fan knives back in the day, but I think there was a patch at some point where the fan knives tracking or like hit registration got nerfed or something. So these always felt a little bit less consistent since then, but it looks like they're buffing that. So increased tracking shape size by 10%, increased tracking strength by 20%. That, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this is gonna be absolutely disgusting. These are already really, really strong throwing knives, and now they're buffing them by such a huge amount. So they're gonna be bigger, basically. Like they're gonna be giant logs you're throwing at people. And then they're gonna curve a little bit harder. A 20% tracking strength increase is gonna be ridiculous. And also fan knives increased tracking shape size. So I guess these are like how big the knives are in terms of when they hit people. So I think this is also going to be a nice buff. But I think the lightweight knife, guys, is going to be the clear winner. This is just going to be an absolutely ridiculous throwing knife. On the Prowl again, another nerf. Let's see. On the Prowl, Assassination should now provide an instant bump of ability energy instead of doing it over time. This makes eliminating a target more immediately satisfying and makes for easier looping in PvE. Okay, so reduce prey finding cooldown from 0.5 seconds to 0.1 seconds. Okay, ability energy is now granted instantly instead of over time. Okay, I mean, again, we'll have to see how this goes. Lightning slightly increase the follow-up melee suppression time after lightning surge to match shoulder charge. Okay, so this is something where you can't as soon as you lightning surge and get out of it, you can't just immediately melee to secure like a double melee kill. So they're increasing the time that you have to take between your lightning surge and your additional melee. So this is a lightning surge nerf. So we'll have to see again how much longer. They don't have a specific time, but it seems like it's just a slight decrease. So we'll see. All right, Pulse Rifle. Legacy frames. These are Redrix BXR frames. Okay, so when we look at our high skill lobby since the most recent nerf to 450 RPM pulse rifle damage, Redrix's S-Stock has fallen more in line in terms of effectiveness. While usage remains high, it is generally in line with where Rose and aggressive hand cannons have been near their peaks, as shown in the charts below with slightly higher usage but lower effectiveness. Okay. However, in our middle and lower skill lobbies, Redrix's S-Stock continues to be an issue. We believe this problem is twofold: a lack of competition from auto rifles and other pulse rifles in terms of forgiving mid-range options. That's true. Auto rifles, typically, they didn't have, like, you have to be in the open with auto rifles, so when you're beaming somebody out in the open, you can't play cover as easily as you can with, like, a Redrix. And the thing with Redrix, too, is that it has a very forgiving, like, optimal TTK where you can hit some body shots and still get the optimal time to kill, so Redrix is just a very, very easy weapon to use. Other pulse rifles looks like they seem to be a little bit weak in terms of forgiveness. So they're saying that legacy frames are offering a little bit too much for this jack of all trades playstyle. So yeah, Redrix S-Stock kind of is good in most scenarios when you're playing in gunfights. So looks like they're going to reduce the ADS range of the pulses. So that's going to be good. So they're not going to be, you know, beating you from quite as far. So they're like going to be better in that more niche mid-range gunfights rather than just like everywhere, right? So that's going to be good. So now they're going to have that nerf that like those 340 pulses got, where they're gonna be effective in their range, but they're not gonna be beaming from like quite as far. And looks like they're gonna buff rapid pulses, high impact, and precision autos. So these are 450 autos, like Prosecutor, Uriel's Gift. They're buffing high impact autos, so like what is that? Abyss Defiant, the Crota's End one. And then Heavy Burst, the 2-burst hand cannons. Okay, so they're gonna buff those to make some more competition for Redrix. So let's see. They're reducing ADS damage fall off scalars from 1.7 to 1.6, matching high impact pulses. So again, less aim assist, I believe, and less range. So that's going to be really nice. And they're just buffing BXR AE. I wonder why exactly it is. I guess that's to match Redrix. Interesting. And then here they have basically kills over expected. I see. Interesting. So nice little chart here they got. And then these are high skill lobbies, primary weapons. Okay, so it looks like they're in average uses, but they're actually getting a little bit lower kills than expected, actually. But like you get something here like Last Word, where you're not, there's a bunch of people using it, and it's also getting way more kills than expected. So definitely, I am a Last Word hater. I always have, always will be. We'll see, maybe if like RDMs get touched or something, but we'll see. Kills over expected, high skill lobby. So again, oh wow, these lightweight pulses again. These are the Redrix, the 450 pulses. They're doing pretty well here. And this is just hand cannons in general. Hand cannon with Memento Mori. So it's, oh, this is Ace, okay. Hand cannon. Oh, so it's like Igneous Hammer. So Igneous Hammer is actually doing a little bit worse than expected. Interesting, interesting. So we'll... Oh, these are all different times. Oh, interesting. I'm sorry, I wasn't even paying attention to these charts. So Redrix, this is like Redrix right after it came out, or got buffed, basically. Or came out. It's like insane. Redrix post-nerf, a little bit more in line. And these are before Redrix was even out, before the lightweight pulses buff was out. So this is like when LC's rifle was dominating. Right around that line. So yeah, interesting, interesting. So it looks like they're all buffing our rapid fire pulses, increased base damage for body shots and headshots. So we'll see how that works. I do like stuff like Horror's Lease. There was a bento box Horror's Lease that was pretty strong with Perpetual Motion and Kill Clip. That actually does feel pretty good to use. They don't have quite as much range, but they're fun to use. They're kind of just like fast brawling kind of pulse rifles. Those are actually pretty interesting to use. And so they're buffing 2-burst hand cannons as well, increased ADS damage falloff scalar, so more range for them. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, the 2-burst hand cannons are just weird because the recoil is different, the reticles are bouncing all over places you shoot. Just hard to string together multiple consistent crit bursts. Oh, Judgment. Interesting, they're just buffing just the gun. Okay, so Judgment is going to be returning during Rite of the Night, and we're taking this opportunity to adjust its stats to be more competitive with other adaptive hand cannons. So again, a buff like this, and then you pair it with some newer perks, a nice perk refresh. This could be a nice little hand cannon here. 9 to 11 bullets, that's a nice buff. Almost a whole kill's worth of bullets right there. Increased reload speed. This is probably not the biggest deal, because this gun already has something like Slide Shot, where you can just auto-reload, but you know, this is still going to be a nice buff if you don't want to go around the Slide Shot route. And then handling increase from 42 to 55. That is a ginormous bump. Now paired with its origin trait, I think it's called Light and Dark, I think. So the top half of the mag gets increased range and handling. So that's going to be nice, paired with this extra handling boost. And the bottom half gets bonus damage. Now, this range and handling is going to be up more often as well, because, again, the magazine is buffed. So this is going to be a nice little stat bump. You know, again, give it maybe like keep Slide Shot, give it PI, give it Eye of the Storm, Vorpal. I mean, I think all those are actually on opening shot. Maybe some new perks. We'll have to see, but I think Judgment could be pretty strong here. Now, high impact autos, more body shot damage, more crit damage. These are like the longer range autos. That Crota Zen auto rifle, I feel like with this buff could be kind of strong. That thing has a crazy amount of range with some good perks. So maybe look out for a Crota Zen scout rifle. This guy, I imagine that can be pretty strong with this buff. And then these, I think these precision autos are going to make a huge comeback. There was a time when everybody was using that prosecutor from the the prophecy dungeon. That auto rifle is an absolute menace, and it looks like they're rebuffing them. Looks like they're increased their base damage, making it a little bit more forgiving. So the body shot damage going up from 19.4 to 20, and the crit damage is going just a very, very slightly. So making them a little bit more forgiving to use, but these things were pretty dominant. So I think maybe a prosecutor with this buff and some new perks to refresh, this could be a pretty strong and dangerous archetype of auto rifles. Potentially, this is going to be like the next thing people complain about, because they were really strong back in the day. Looks like they're buffing the range as well for these 900 RPM machine guns, or not machine guns, SMGs. So yeah, we'll see how that works. Again, a buff for the SMG enjoyers. Heavy burst slug. Oh, these are the 2 burst ones. This is just like a PvE thing, so that's kind of a non-issue. Weapon perks. 1 quiet moment, the origin trait. Okay, so now it's 2 stacks. One that activates after 1 second being out of combat, 50% of the bonus, and the other at 2 seconds. So that's kind of cool. That's like a nice little buff to that perk. I actually liked 1 quiet moment a lot, especially on Igneous Hammer, because, you know, you only have 8 bullets, so having extra reload speed is kind of nice. But now that you get, it's going to be up more often, I think this is going to be a nice little buff for 1 quiet moment. And then Elacrity. So, while incredibly strong when active, Elacrity is nearly 0 uptime in non-trials Crucible playlists, so we want to give it some additional utility. We believe this will make it one of the strongest origin perks for Crucible in the game, and shall better position weapons from Trials of Osiris along with the competitive playlist offerings. Okay, so now activates at reduced effectiveness whenever a teammate dies. So that's going to be kind of nice. In a 2v3, Elacrity comes up. Pretty nice. And then it gets even stronger when 2 or more of your teammates are dead. So that's actually kind of a nice little bonus there. Maybe it'll sway me to pick Elacrity over 1 quiet moment. Because again, like, it is right. It is incredibly strong when it's up, but again, it's not up that often. So maybe this perk will be a lot better. They're reducing hipfire damage for my Lord of Wolves in PvE by 30%. This is so sad. I had a lot of fun using Lord of Wolves to farm my palindrome last week, but yeah, whatever. I guess I'll have to find something new to cheese my way through Grandmaster Nightfalls. Risk Runner gets increased zoom, so it's effectively just more aim assist at longer ranges, which is nice, I guess, if you're trying to use Risk Runner in PvP. So a solid little buff there. Increase the amount of ammo pickup for Two-Tailed Fox from Crucible ammo crates from 1 to 2. I mean, it'll be a little bit better, I guess. But I think it's, again, like they say, like rockets don't compete well in Crucible because their ammo isn't that good. So maybe a 2-shot rocket could be kind of strong. But we'll see. Maybe not as good as, again, I think the Doom Petitioner, the heavy linear 3-burst is probably the best because it just has crazy aim assist and gets so much ammo, but maybe this will be a little bit better. This is also an exotics weapon, so you'd have to give up your exotic slot for Two-Tailed Fox. Alethanim, creating an ammo brick drained all of the weapon's energy, which prevented the player from creating 2 special bricks when at 100% energy. We've adjusted the cost of the special ammo brick to 50% to allow the player to create another special brick if they desire. I'm going to be honest, guys, I really don't exactly know how this weapon works. I've not really used this, basically, if at all, so I'm going to kind of skip past that. Finality's Augur, reduced turret self-damage by 85%. That's kind of nice. Increased turret damage by 10%. Duration, increased duration that a target is painted to match the duration of the turret. The environmental target marker now marks additional targets. Okay, so it'll be a little bit better in PvP, so that's a little bit interesting. Oh my goodness, a long paragraph for Radiant Dance Machines. Let's just see what they do. This is the big one, guys. Let's just hope RDMs just get absolutely nuked here. I don't want to see these really ever again. They've just ruined so many guns, so many months of me playing Crucible. So Let's just have these things put in the dirt, please, Bungie. The goal of the RDMs rework was to introduce a new style of gameplay into PvP centered around aggressive, close-range play with primary weapons. Here's the problem, though, Bungie. Close-range play wasn't really close range, was it? It was close, mid-range, a little bit even longer than medium range, especially if you're using like a Redrix. That's that pre-nerf RDM last word was an absolute menace. It was actually kind of dominating in medium range as a last word, kind of nuts. Division sidearm basically now competes at like medium range as well, so I don't know. While this has happened in practice and we have received a large amount of feedback that the playstyle itself is fun to use, it is indeed fun when you use it. We do need to make sure that at its peak, it is still in band with the other playstyles that exist in the high crucible gameplay. So true. Playing comp, all it is RDM Invis Hunter. So we gotta take a look at this. Unfortunately, due to the differences between the input devices, the current tuning for RDM continues to remain problematic on mouse and keyboard, while being significantly less effective on controller. Last word excluded, of course. Last word very busted on controller. Which has been specifically addressed below. Interesting. The usage reflects this, with RDM seeing 45% higher usage on mouse and keyboard. Interesting. So is any controller players, let me know down in the comments below. So like, is Division on RDMs, is that like not really like a big deal on controller? Let me know, especially if you're like a console player where you're not going up against the PC players. Let me know, guys. Is there like a lot less RDMs? Is this kind of overblown by PC players, you think, the amount of RDM usage? MK already benefits from having significantly higher aim, assist, accuracy, and stability while hip-firing than controller does, and stacking those benefits with the ones of RDM, allowing some weapons to perform outside of their intended bounds. Yeah, Division, Brigand's Law, any of those hip-fire sidearms is absolutely disgusting. Long term, we want to investigate moving the two inputs to more equal in terms of hip-fire accuracy at base. But for now, we are going to significantly reduce the benefits granted by RDMs. We believe these values will still allow players to engage in hip-fire combat, albeit at a more limited range window, and with additional investment needed in the forms of perks or mods to achieve a similar level of strength. That's going to be good. We'll see exactly what those changes are in a sec. In addition, so that hunters don't have all the hip-firing fun, we're going to grant the hip-fire range and accuracy benefits of primary weapons to an exotic, each on Warlock and Titan. Oh, Lord. Let's just see what that is. So they're going to reduce the bonuses granted to primary weapons when firing from hip. Awesome. Align the hip-fire bonuses to range and accuracy with the values granted by the hip-fire grip perk instead of the legacy frame intrinsic perk. Okay. Reduced accuracy bonus for standard weapons by 60%. Damn, that is awesome. I mean, that's a very, very sizable nerf. And then reduced aim assist fall-off distance bonus by 60%. Again, awesome. It seems like they're really trying to put these RDMs in the ground. I am absolutely loving this, guys. And then again, a further reduced accuracy bonus for the custom-tuned exotic weapons, including the last word. Yeah, thank you so much, Bungie. The last word is such a ridiculous weapon with RDMs. So, based on the feedback we received from mouse and keyboard players using the last word with RDMs, we are looking into tuning the specific penalties for that input device down a little bit in the future patch to make the weapon more usable without requiring exotic. Awesome. Although dodge up time is already lower on RDMs than it is with some other exotics, we want to reduce the class ability refund benefit to just a bit in PvP to make it a little bit less of a focal point of the exotic. Yes, it is insane how much dodge energy you get. So it looks like they're reducing the amount of dodge ability energy from 33% to 20% per kill. That seems reasonable. So it's still going to be strong. You're still going to get a good amount of dodge at every primary kill, and you're still going to get bonuses to your aim assist and accuracy, but it's not going to be quite as crazy. Sorry for the pause, guys. Added the accuracy and range hipfire bonus from RDMs to Lion Rampant for primary weapons only. Okay. These hipfire benefits are always active, not just when airborne. Okay. And the increased 50 AE bonus is now always active, not just when. Okay. So Lion Rampant's actually now like a usable option, which is kind of cool. Looks like they're doing the same thing for Luna faction boosts as well, but now they're going to decrease the range bonus granted by empowering rings by 50%. only to reduce occurrences of extremely long-range kills with short-range weapons like fusions and slug shotguns. Okay. Decrease effectiveness for special weapons. I like that. And then new weapons looks like coming with this patch. Iron Banner. I mean, I don't see a steady hand, so I don't really care about the scout rifle. I'm going to keep it a buck, guys. Inquisitor. Finally coming. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to keep it a buck, guys. I think you're ideally going to want Lone Wolf and opening shot just for maximum aim assist, maximum ease of use. Just make your slug shot easy as possible. So with that closing time nerf, you're definitely going to want opening shot because it just makes the hitting the shot just that little bit easier. So I think that's going to be the ideal role for the Inquisitor. And then a 2-burst pulse rifle looks like from Nightfall. So that is basically it, guys. Again, we'll see how these changes work out when we're actually in game here, but only a couple days away. On Tuesday, these changes are going to hit the game, so I'm very excited for especially that RDM change. They had a whole essay on the RDMs getting nerfed, so very, very cool, guys. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.